Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We shall together chant ATMA SHATKAM.
Mano buddhya
Karacheta ninaham na cha shrotra na netre na cha vyoma bhumi na tejo na vayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Nacha Prana Sankhyo Na Panchavayu Nava Saptadhatu Nava Panchakosha Nachopastavayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Natme Dvesha Ragau Name Lopa Moho Madho Naiva Me Naiva Ma Sarya Bhava Kamo na moksha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na punyam na papam na saukyam na dukkham na mantro na tirtham na veda na yajna
aham bhojanam naiva bhojam na bhokta
Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na pue mrityu shanka na me jati bheda Pita naiva me naiva mata na janma Na bandhur na mitram Guru naiva shishya Chidananda Rupa शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं नन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणि सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धा चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्. Chidanandarupa Shivoham Shivoham Sarvam Shivamayam. That means everything is Shivam, auspiciousness. Everything is Brahman. Everything is God. So am I. So are you. Brahman, God alone is. Yet we do not realize that. We believe ourselves to be a very limited, constricted, restricted, limited personality with body, mind, intellect, and ego, and dealing with the world. A constricted, hyphenated personality, body, mind, intellect, ego. Adi Shankaracharya's attempt here is at least we begin to doubt that I could be something beyond this. We realizing it comes much later. But the moment we even begin to suspect it could be, I could be something beyond, because I don't do anything with the body except dealing with the activities in the world. Everything else somebody is taking care of. I could be that. So who is that? As you've been reading, every verse, chorus is Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. But we don't believe so because of our attachment to body, mind, intellect, ego, and their corresponding objects. Once, a prince from Gwalior in India went to Swami Ramatirtha. Swami Ramatirtha, those of you don't know, he lived about 120 years ago. 1903 he died, nearly 120 years ago. So this prince of Gwalior went to Swami Ramatirtha and asked, Swami, I want to meet God. Can you please take me to God? Can you please show me God? Can you please introduce me to God? Yes, certainly I can, said Swami. Swami asked the prince, who are you? Tell me who you are. Then I can go and tell God that somebody has come to see you. So please tell me who you are, and I can definitely inform God. So the prince of Vijayanagaram took out his business card, perhaps, and gave to the Swami. And Swami read it. His name, Shri Gajapati Raju, the Prince of Gwalior. That was written on the card. And the Swami gave the business card back to the prince and said, this is your name. God doesn't want to know your name. God wants to know who you are. Tell me, I will definitely take you to God. And then the prince said, oh, I'm sorry, Swami. I'm sorry. I got it wrong. So he corrected it, scraped it and changed it and said, the administrator, the prince of Vijayanagaram, Gwalior, beg your pardon, and gave it back to the Swami. Swami read it and said, and gave the card back to the prince and said, that is your title. That shows your duty, your administrative power as the king or the prince. Swami, God doesn't want to know your job, your title. God wants to know who you are. And then he said, oh, I made a mistake, sorry. And he corrected it and said, Prince of Gwalior. Gave to the Swami, and Swami again gave it back to him and said, that is your position, social status. You are a royal descent. We know that. God doesn't want to know your ancestry, your descendants. God doesn't want to know your lineage. God wants to know who you are. Yes, we know you are not a commoner. You belong to the lineage of the kings. The prince was confused. And then eventually he corrected it. And he wrote, I am a human being. Gave the card back to the Swami. Swami read it and gave the card back to the prince and said, God doesn't want to know your species. Human being is just your species. You are not an amoeba, you're not an insect, you're not an animal, you're not a tiger, you're not any one of those. You're a human being. God doesn't want to know your species. God wants to know who you are. And now the prince was thoroughly confused, very, very confused. And he thought for a moment and he corrected it a fifth time and said, I am the body, and gave it back to the Swami. Swami read it and gave the card back to him and said, that is your possession. Body is your possession. God doesn't want to know what you possess, what you own. God wants to know who you are. And now the king was puzzled, terribly, confused. Then the prince wrote, I am the mind. That again is the possession, said Swami. It went on. And the prince was confused and confounded every time the Swami posed the question. God told him, God doesn't want to know who your position, your identity, your status, your role, your possessions. God wants to know who you are. Tell me, I will definitely take you to God. And the prince was intelligent. He went back to reflect to that question. I wanted to meet God, but then Swami asked me who I am, and I could not answer him who I am. I have been telling him all kinds of things. I'm telling him my name, my possession, my title, my role, etc. My God, I didn't know who I am. Fortunately, the prince was very contemplative, beyond thinking, contemplation. And the prince never went back to Swami to meet God, to have a face-to-face conversation with God. Why? Why is that? Hello? Are you all there? Hello? Somebody awake?
Yeah, we're here. Angajan, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Seelan. Why didn't he go back to the Swami to meet God?
Angajanji, this is Abha.
Okay, Abha.
Maybe he realized that he's not the body and he's more than that. And he had that soul realization, perhaps.
Yes, he realized that I am God. How absurd have I been? Quite right, Abba. How's Botswana?
Botswana is not bad. We miss you. We wish you were here.
Yeah, I was supposed to have been there.
Namaskar, Angajanji. When I'm here, Hemant here.
Universe have different plans, but we'll see you sometime in the future, maybe
Oh,
later.
yes. We'll be waiting for you. Yes.
Quite right. Because he realized, not that he was frustrated, and he thought Swami doesn't know what he's talking about. And there is a barrier. So the entire ATMA SHATKAM, as I mentioned repeatedly, is only doing two things: affirmation or assertion of the reality and negation of the illusion, negation of unreality. So, through this contemplation, we are able to purify ourselves. That's all that we need to do. The entire spiritual journey boils down to the job of a cleaner, scavenger, getting rid of the rubbish. That's all that we do. The dirt called karma, vasanas and desires enveloping the divinity. So spiritual path boils down to a process of self-purification. Once, in the kingdom of Akbar, Akbar had a very wise minister called Birbal. Birbal was very witty. Every time the king had a dilemma, a quandary, he gave a solution, very deep, profound, at the same time witty solution. So anything he wants to get it done, he would tell Akbar, the minister, Birbal. So the Akbar, the king, wanted to find a painter, court painter, not just an ordinary painter, not just a person who can just paint well. He should be able to paint well. At the same time, he should be wise. So Birbal announced that Akbar wants a painter. So a lot of CVs came in, a lot of applications came in. And Birbal went through all these applications and he shortlisted two people, two painters. And Birbal decided to put them through test to find out who is a wiser painter. So how did he put them through the test? What did he do? These two painters were given two granite walls to paint. And it so happened that the walls, the granite slabs, were facing each other, so that each painter will not be facing each other. Their back will be facing the other's back rather. And of course, there was a curtain in the center. And they were given 1 week's time to paint their choicest art, piece of painting. The first painter got busy. He went and brought all kinds of painting material, the best quality painting material. He got busy with painting, and the other painter also got busy. And a week went by. They approached Birbal and said, "We have completed our painting. Please test us." So Birbal brought Akbar to examine their painting. And Akbar unveiled the wall of the first painter. And Akbar was flabbergasted to see the beauty, the magnificence of the first painter's painting. He painted a beautiful scenery with people there, animal there, and almost brimming with the life of those beings that are there. And Akbar was very, very happy. He was thoroughly satisfied. But it is a competition. It's a contest, as it were. Although you are satisfied, it's only fair to examine the second painter's painting. And Akbar unveiled the painting of the second painter. And when he saw the second painter's painting, he was even more blown away, far beyond the first one's painting. And what is unique? The second painter also painted exactly the same painting that the first painter did. Not an iota of difference. And he knew that they did not cheat. He did not look at the first painter because the wall, the curtain was very, very, firm and strong. And they did not cheat. What did the second painter do? He painted nothing. He did not worry about bringing any kind of painting. From the first day, he went and got all kinds of polished material. He spent the whole week polishing the granite wall. He rubbed it. He brought the best quality sandpaper. He spent the whole week polishing and polishing and polishing and made the granite wall a mirror finish. And when he polished the granite wall to a mirror finish, whatever the first painter painted reflected in it. And as you know, the object, the image, the distance of the image from the wall, from the mirror, shows the distance inside the mirror. So he made it look like it's a 3D painting. He went inside the wall and painting as it were. This is the way with spiritual path. We can either chase the external world for power, fame, wealth, knowledge, recognition, love, everything that we are looking for. It is an endless process. Instead, don't worry about painting the world outside. Follow what the second painter did. Purify our personality. Let us work towards reducing our desires and eventually eradicating it. And then everything that we were after, we will realize that it was right here. We are absolute power, omnipotent. We are omniscient. We are all pervading. Everything that we thought we wanted is right here. That is the impact, or that is the punch of the chorus verse here that we keep chanting. Shiva Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. He says, I have no mrityu shanka. I have no fear of death. Why would I? Because I was never born, says Shankara. I have no caste distinction. The caste distinction, guna and karma, belongs to the body, mind, and intellect, not to the spirit, the Atman within. As I discussed the other day, the caste distinction in India, and that is there all over the world. Every human being have got this guna and karma. According to the guna, we perform our duty, our karma. I have no father, I have no mother. Yes, our body has father and mother. Our parents gave birth to the body, they did not give birth to our karma, our mind and intellect. That is our making. They did not give birth to the Atman. So when he says, I have no father, I have no mother, the billion-dollar question, who is my father's father's first father? You have a father, or you had a father. Your grandfather had a father. Your father had a father, your grandfather. And your grandfather had a father, your great-grandfather. And you know, definitely your great-grandfather had a father. If you trace back, follow the continuum, who is my father's father's first father? Can there be a father who had no father? Impossible. There cannot be a father who had no father. If there was no first father, his son cannot exist. If his son cannot exist, his grandson cannot exist. If his grandson cannot exist, his great-grandson cannot exist. If you follow that sequence, what does that mean? Your great-grandfather did not exist. Your grandfather did not exist. Your father did not exist. You don't exist. Then what he's saying? I am Shiva. Shivoham, Shivoham. I have no father, I have no mother. Seed produces the tree. Seed in turn, a tree in turn produces the seed. And then seed further produces the tree. And if you trace back, did the tree come first or the seed come first? Follow the thought sequence, that sequence. We can't find a culmination. Did the chicken come first or the egg come first? In that sense, I have no father, I have no mother. No birth. If there is no father, no mother, there is no birth. I am Aja, unborn. Now he is talking about a relationship. Pita, Mata, Bandhu, Mitra. No relatives, no friend. That is why Hinduism says Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Vasudha Eva Kudumbakam. The whole universe is one family. The whole world is one family. No relatives or friend, no guru, no disciple. Na bandhu, na mitram. Bandhu means relatives, no friends. And even relatively speaking, what is this concept of friend we are talking about? It is simply a fad of the modern generation. Best friend, fast friend. There is no such thing as friend, because it has happened time and time again. It must have happened in your life also. The person whom you thought was your best friend eventually becomes your worst enemy, and vice versa. He says, no relatives, no friend, but Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, the whole world is one family. No guru, no disciples. He says, na guru, naiva shishya. Among all the, he's talking about various relationships that all of us cherish. And the closest relationship that we cherish is the relationship with the father and mother. That also he negates it. What is this? When you take up a greater relationship, the smaller relationship diminishes. You don't have one friend, the whole world is your friend. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Guru Sishya. The relationship between Guru and disciple is one of the noblest of human relationships. It transcends the best of human relationship between the mother and child. Because in that noble relationship of Guru Sishya, all the selfishness and ego is subdued, subjugated. It is a pure relationship of service and sacrifice. The Guru that is worth the name has only one interest, except no other interest except helping the disciple to unveil the divinity, help the disciple to grow spiritually. He or she may use many, many methods, but there is only one interest. And a true disciple worth the name has only one interest, one expectation from the Guru, to help him unravel the mystery of one's identity. Who am I? What is my purpose? Nothing else. The Hindu tradition, from time immemorial, for millenniums together, maintained this age-old tradition of Guru Sishya Parampara. This unbroken lineage called Guru Sishya Parampara. And this knowledge, Atma Vidya, was conveyed through oral discussion. There was no books. And they preserved the knowledge, Atma Vidya, the Vedas. The word Veda is derived from vid, to know. Were preserved through memory. And they preserved it, they retained it, and they passed it on to the next generation. The father gave to the son, or the children rather. Pure memory. And they maintained this Vedic knowledge, as you know, the knowledge of the Vedas. Nobody wrote it, there was no authorship. They were revealed in the minds of the sages during the deep meditation. And they passed it on to the next generation through memory, through oral discussion. And they retained it with almost 100% accuracy and handed it down until sage Vyasa recorded it in the book form, in the form of Vedas. So this lineage of Guru Sishya Parampara has been maintained, that unbroken tradition, the noblest of relationship. And he says, even that is not there in that bliss of God realization. He's abolishing all the relationship that we value, because even in the noblest of worldly relationship that we talk about, between parents and children, between best friends, the most sacrificial friends, there is selfishness. But when the emotions are on the surface, we do not see the undercurrent of selfishness. That is why William Shakespeare, in his play Hamlet, He says, don't shake hands to every new-fledged, comrades, friends. Don't, what happens is that we meet somebody in the flight or in the train in India. Very often it happens, when we travel from one city to the other in the train, we sit in the same cubicle, facing each other. There's another family and there is your family, and you're spending sometimes 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours together, traveling. Pleasant time. And then we exchange, share food, although it is not the best practice, because there are cases, where they shared food and the food was mixed with some kind of medicine that makes the person fall asleep, so that they steal their luggage and all that, or valuables. But that apart, let's say genuine friends. So they spend together 10 hours, 15 hours, and they become best friends within a matter of 10 hours. And they exchange cards, exchange contact numbers, exchange their astrologies, etc. And they become best friends. And Shakespeare also says, and once their adoption tried, once you really know that a friend is truly unselfish and sacrificial, grapple them to their soul with the loops of steel, he says. Such friends who have you tested, grapple them with your soul, with the loops of steel. Don't doubt them. But today, we have many friends, but no friends who can sacrifice for us. I have no fear of death, no caste distinction, no father, no mother, no birth, no relatives or friend, no guru, no disciples. I am the form of consciousness, bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. So when he abolishes the relationship, on the other hand, by default, as it were, he's maintaining that Vasudhaiva Kudumpakam, the world is one family. That is the reality. We are all so intelligently and intricately connected. Billions upon billions of people who have lived in the past and going to live in the future. And the trillions of plants and animals in the world are intelligently interconnected. So this concept was understood by sages and saints in the ancient times. And they've coined the beautiful coinage, Vasudha Eva Kudumbakam. The world is one family, no discrimination of caste, creed, community, race, nationality. Yes, there are people with different skin colors and different languages and different faith and religion, etc. But in whole, we are one family. So we got to live in that spirit. The moment selfishness creeps in, that very moment becomes our downfall. Once, in a particular farm, there were many animals living together happily. There was a cow, there was a chicken, there was a pig, there was a rat, and other animals. Rat also. One afternoon, the rat sitting in its hole, saw farmer's wife bringing a gadget. And the rat looked at it carefully from far, sitting in its hole. And the rat realized that it is something dangerous for the rat. It was a rat trap. And seeing the rat trap, naturally the rat panicked. The panic-stricken rat trap, the panic-stricken rat ran up to the chicken and said, listen, listen, we are in trouble. What happened? Asked the chicken. The rat said, we are in trouble because farmer's wife put a rat trap. What do you mean, rat trap? You are in trouble because it's a rat trap. Look at me, how will it affect me? I can fly. The chicken can't even fly, and yet chicken believes that it can fly. Chicken can fly 2 feet high. And yet chicken believes that it can fly. I mean, this is the condition of many people, arrogance. And the chicken paid no attention to the rat because chicken thought it's only rat's problem. Why should I worry? It's a rat trap. And the rat, very disappointed that his dear friend chicken did not help him. And the rat went up to the pig. And the rat said, oh, piggy, we are in trouble. What do you mean? We are in trouble. Farmer's wife brought a rat trap. And the piggy said, what do you mean? Farmer's wife brought a rat trap? Look at me, I'm nice and round, dolly polly, like the pig. How can the rat trap affect me? You got to be careful. Hope you have insured yourself. Hope you have insured yourself so that your wife and children are secured with the insurance money. The pig thought it's only rat's problem. The pig did not pay attention to the rat's problem. Don't worry. If anything were to happen to you, I will make sure that your family is safe. Your wife and children are safe. That's all the pig said. The pig did not realize the gravity of the situation. The rat eventually went up to the cow and he said, we are in trouble, desperately. And the cow said, what do you mean we are in trouble? And the ratty said, farmer's wife brought a rat trap. Rat trap? How will the rat trap affect me? Asked the cow. Look at my size. I'm the biggest animal in the farm. And among the cows, I'm one of the bigger ones. How will such a tiny trap affect me? You got to be careful. I will make sure that your funeral expense will be covered. Don't worry. The cow was only thinking about my size, how big I am, how secure I am. I've got the fodder and grass and water, everything available. Never bothered to pay attention to the rat. The cow was only worried about himself. But cow was seemingly sympathetic. You know, if anything had happened to you, I'll take care of funeral. That's all the cow said. Nobody paid deep-rooted attention to rat's problem. Naturally, the rat was disappointed. His dear friends did not assist him. And that night, in the farm, midnight, about 12 o'clock, there was a noise as if the rat trap is clicking. And when the noise came, the cow, the pig, the chicken, everybody heard the noise. It was very obvious, very conspicuous noise. And the farmer's wife, the lady of the house, also heard the noise. And she got up in the middle of the night to see what kind of rat has struck on the trap. And being pitch dark, she didn't notice exactly where the trap was. It's in the farm, there's no electricity and all that. She didn't know exactly where the rat trap was. So in the pitch dark, as she was moving, She stepped on the rat trap. In actual fact, it was not a rat that was trapped, it was a cobra. And the cobra being trapped, she stepped on it and the cobra bit her. And she was poisoned, snake poisoned. She was having temperature. She was vomiting. Water oozing out of the mouth, etc. All kinds of complications. And the family waited for the dawn. And next day, early morning, doctor was rushed in and examined her and what has happened. And he gave her the injection, etc. And the doctor said, we need to feed her something. We need to immediately organize some chicken soup. In order to feed the lady, they killed the chicken. And she was bedridden. And as they went by, next day, the day after, a lot of friends and visitors started visiting her. And some of the family members visited her and started staying there. And in order to feed the visitors, they killed the pig. A week went by. The lady died out of snake poison. And in order to feed the people on the funeral, they killed the cow. The only animal that survived is the rat. Rest of them died. Why? Because everybody thought it is only a rat's problem. Similar is the circumstances. The world is one family. That is the implication of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Even in this calamity that the world is going through, we got to look at it as the world's problem. Just because one particular country is free from COVID-19 or on the verge of recovery, they ignore some other country and say, oh, it's their problem. Now, America has got the largest. Remember, if America has got the largest, it is not the America's problem, it is the world's problem. Because no matter whichever part of the world all of you are sitting, can see some people in New Zealand, then Botswana, there is UK, and of course, most from South Africa. Wherever we are sitting, it will affect everybody. That is why he's demolishing the relation. Oh, it's my father, my mother, my best friend. He says, there's only Shiva, verse 6.
Aham nirvikalpo
Kara rupo vibhurvyapya sarvatra sarvendriyani
sada me
samatvam namuktirna bandha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. In the process of reawakening our consciousness, or in the process of dehypnotizing ourselves, we are already hypnotized. A Swami was lecturing on Bhagavad Gita. So during the question time came, one of the questioner asked, Swami, are you hypnotizing us? The Swami said, I'm not hypnotizing you. I'm dehypnotizing you. You're already hypnotized to believe that you are this limited creature. In the process of dehypnotizing, in the previous verses, Shankaracharya emphasized what we are not. I'm not the body. I'm not the five koshas. I'm not the pancha pranas. I'm not the ahankara. He emphasized what we are not. Now, in this verse, he's telling us what we are. Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo. I am without modification. Vikalpa means constant changes, modification. Aham, I am nirvikalpa, without any modifications. And nirakara rupam, formless. Vibhum, the Supreme Lord, all powerful am I. Sarvatra, meaning I'm everywhere, all pervading. Sarvendriyani, not attached to any sense objects, or the master of all the senses. Sada, always. Samatvam, sada me samatvam. I am ever balanced. So am I. That is my original nature. That is the message that we got to read. Your original nature is sada samatvam, ever balanced. Na muktir na bandha, neither freedom nor bondage. I am the form of consciousness bliss. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. I am without modifications. Body goes through modifications. However hard you try, we will grow old. Nobody likes to grow old, because as we grow old, our face experience shows upon our face the wrinkles, and those they try to do everything possible to reverse the degenerating process. However hard we try, the body will go through that modification. That's the natural phenomenon. When you don't like growing old, remember, growing old is a privilege that is denied to many people. But yet, a lot of people feel sad, oh, I'm growing old, not realizing it's a privilege. Physical body go through these modifications and fluctuations, changes. Every cell in our body gets replaced after every 7 hours or so, or 7 years or so. If you look at your picture 7 years ago, it might look identical or similar. You are, but your body is totally different. You walk into a hall, after spending 2 hours, you leave the hall, you've changed. Although you may look the same. Our body go through various modifications. Our mind go through fluctuations. The idea that you thought is right today, 2 years later, you will review that idea and say that was wrong. Why? Because our thinking has changed. An idea that you were so sure that this is the right thing to do, but after a while you regret, my God, what a stupid thing I've done. Our thought process keeps changing. Our emotions change. As we discussed earlier, a person whom you thought is your friend, your emotion changes. You don't have the same sentiment towards that person. Emotions change. And of course, the seasons change. Different seasons you have. Winter now, spring, autumn, summer, these seasons roll by. And even within the day, there are different seasons: morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night, midnight. Times keep changing, day into week, week into month, month into years. We go through 5 metamorphoric changes. They are birth, growth, disease, decay, and death. But in and through all these fluctuations and changes, I remains changeless. How do we know that there is a changeless entity? In and through all these fluctuations, the fact that we are able to notice the changes. Remember, in order to notice a change, you need a changeless entity. Only with reference to a changeless entity, we notice the changes. Without any changeless entity, we cannot notice the change. When you're flying in an aircraft, we know that the aircraft, the plane is moving because outside there are clouds which are not moving, or their movement is very slow. With reference to those changeless clouds, we notice the movement of the flight. And when the aircraft crosses the level of cloud and fly about 39,000-40,000 feet above, you pull up the window and look out, you don't see any cloud. It's only blue sky as it were. You don't notice the movement, you don't notice the change because there is nothing you can see that is changeless outside. So remember, the changes of life is noticeable only with reference to a changeless entity, and that changeless entity are you, am I. The Atman. As a child, you say, I am a child. The child grow up to a boy, you say, I am a boy. The boy grow up to be a youth, you say, I am a youth. The youth grow up to be a man, you say, I am a man. The man grows up to be an old man, you say, I am an old man. You have 5 unequal factors: child, boy, youth, man, old man. How can these 5 unequal factors be equal to one factor, that is I? With reference to those changes, we notice the changeless entity. So I am without modification, formless, nirakara. All objects in the world has form and it's fluctuating. The name and form. I am Vibhu, I am Supreme Lord. Vibhum in Sanskrit means Lord. What is that Lord? In the sense that with reference to thousands of mud pot of varying shapes and colors and sizes, mud is the Lord. Mud is the Lord of all the mud pots. Gold is the Vibhum, the Lord of all the ornaments. Water is the Lord of all the waves because it is the essential component. In that sense, I am Vibhum. Now we got to feel that vibe. You say, I am Lord. I'm the Supreme Lord. I'm Vibhum. And at the moment, We don't feel that. We feel weak. We feel limited. We feel helpless. We don't need to. When we identify with that essential being, the I, Atman, we are right on top of the world. Nothing in the world will affect us, should affect us, because we are the Supreme Lord. Vibhum, Shiva, Vyapya Sarvatra, I am all pervading. Grace of God is everywhere. The grace of God is not limited to a few people who are doing good deeds. No. God's grace is everywhere. It is all pervading. Just as the rays of the sun is everywhere, the sun above does not discriminate and say, I give light to good people and I deny light to bad people. Sun does not discriminate. The rays of the sun is all pervading, it is everywhere. But we put a roof above our head and say, oh, I'm not getting the sunlight. Is that sun's problem? You put a block. Similarly, when we complain that I am not getting the grace of God, it is utter nonsense. You are not denied the grace of God. God's grace is everywhere. We need to learn to receive the grace of God. Why are we not able to receive the grace of God? Our own negative thought, our own negative emotions, negative attitude. So when we go to the temple, a place of worship, and pray, the prayer is a process of fine-tuning our thought. Remember, prayer, you got to get this very clear. The whole world is caught up with a misconception about prayer. They believe that by prayer, we win favor from God. We win favor from Lord Shiva. By prayer, we influence God's decision in my favor. That is not the purpose of God's your prayer. God's influence is upon you already. God's favor is in your favor already. But then, because of the negative thought, we are not able to receive. So during the prayer, we are fine-tuning our thought, developing a spirit of surrender. Surrender is not helplessness, it is strength. We are developing a spirit of utter humility, total devotion. And in that fine-tuned moment, we receive the grace of God, just as a particular radio station. A particular radio station, the signals of the station is everywhere. It is all pervading. But if you have a radio station that is not tuned to that frequency, you will not be able to receive the signal from the radio station. So when you fine-tune your radio to, let's say, 105.2 FM, your radio station has to be tuned to 105.2 FM. Only then you'll receive the station. But your radio is tuned into 65.8. And you're complaining, oh, I'm not receiving this. It's not radio station's problem. You have not fine-tuned your radio. So during the prayer, what are we doing? Prayer is simply a process of fine-tuning our thought so that we are able to receive the grace of God which is within. I am sarvatra. Sarvendriyani, master of all the senses. Just as electricity is the master of all the electrical gadgets. Without electricity, no electrical electronic gadget will operate. In the same way, the Atman, I am the master of the senses, in the sense, without the Atman, the divinity, the eyes cannot see. That is why when we go to Kenopanishad, he says, sage, the rishis there says, Shrotrasya Shrotram, it is the ear of the ear. Where is God? It is the ear of the ear. What listens through the ear is God. Chakshusha Shakshu, it is the eye of the eye. What sees through your eye is God. Mano Manaha, it is the mind of the mind. What enables your mind to feel various emotions is God. What enables the eyes to see various sight is God. Vachoha Vacham, it is a speech behind the speech. The master of all the senses, Sarvendriyana, Sada Samatvam, always balanced. That is our original nature. Atman, the divinity, our essential nature is Sada, always Samatvam, completely balanced. But at the moment, we are fluctuating. Why? The mind goes through fluctuations. The fluctuations of the world affects our mind. The heat and cold of the world affects the body. But at the moment, we are so attached to the body and we believe that I am the body. And when the body goes through heat, you say, I am hot. When the body goes through cold, you say, I am cold. But I feel neither cold nor hot. Sada Samatvam, says Shankara. One of the diver that I happen to know told me, we're talking about meditation and all this kind of thing. He said, the best place to meditate is deep in the ocean. You know, he said he goes to deep sea diving. Absolutely steady, no noise whatsoever. Don't need to go there. If you can't find a quiet place, yes, you can definitely find a quiet time. That is Brahma Muhurtam, early morning. Everybody is sleeping. You're awake. That is, you can find that quiet time. Sadame samatvam na mukti na bandha. I have neither bondage nor liberation. I'm not bound. And yet, at the moment, we feel we are bound. Why? Because of our desires, because of our attachment to the body, mind, and intellect, and ego. And we feel I am the body, mind, and intellect. We are bound because of our attachment. But the truth is that I remain unbound. It is only the bond of desires. The moment we realize our potential, all the bondage just slithers away, bursts. Like the story of Gulliver's Travel. Sure, you have read the story. Gulliver was on a voyage and his boat wrecked and he stuck on an island. In the island, there were a lot of Lilliputans. Lilliputans were small, tiny human beings. And in the beach, the man lying, and this Lilliputan saw the giant man, ordinary size, but for Lilliputans, he's giant. And they decided to tie him down. And they brought the strongest of rope and tied the man and decided to carry, he was fast asleep, Gulliver. And they decided to carry him to the king. And thousands of them together just managed to carry Gulliver. And having reached, Gulliver had a fast, good sleep, and he woke up. When he woke up and he stretched his arms, and all the strongest of rope just went breaking. We are like that. At the moment, we believe we are bound because we don't realize our potential. We're bound by our desires. If we don't get the object of desire, we feel agitated. That is bondage. We are bound by other people's attention and affection. If the other people don't show concern, attention, or affection, we get disturbed. We feel agitated. We feel hatred towards that people. We are bound. Physically, we are bound because if we can't travel. We want to go to different places to do your job, business, duty, etc. But we can't because physical body cannot be traveled because of corona. At all levels, he says, I am unbound. Sadame samatvam na mukti na bandhu. I'm neither liberated. I was never bound. How can I be liberated? Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo vibhurvyapya sarvatra sarvendriyani sada me samatvam namuktirna bandha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. That, in a nutshell, is Atma Shatkam. The 6 verses on Atman. You all got the translation. You may have taken notes. Go back, reflect, contemplate upon it. Those of you who are not regulars of our Tuesday classes, what we do is that we do an assignment that is summarizing the book, the text that we studied. And I suggest you do that as well. If any one of you who are not our Tuesday study class attendees missed any session, please let us know. We will send you the link of the discourse that is available on YouTube. Listen to that, contemplate, write your assignment. Just a brief summary as to what you have understood through the study of Atma Shatkam. Handwrite it, don't type it. Handwrite it, send it to me. I will read through it. And if there are any correction, the idea is to make sure that you have understood it, or more, you have not misunderstood it. And also, you need to reflect upon it. You need to contemplate. So that becomes an opportunity for you to reflect, especially in the morning. Silan, do you want to speak out your question, please?
Hari Om Angajan, thank you. So for me, when I firstly thank you so much. This was really a fantastic discourse, and I'm sorry that I missed some of the lessons. But the key question for me is, how do I put this into practice? There has to be some very small steps that we can take in our daily lives that helps us to get to this position of self-realization, if I may call it that.
Right. Now, the law of life is that every practice, your question is how to practice this, simply put. Every practice is preceded by an understanding, a principle, or a theory. So once the theory, or let's say knowledge, every practice is backed by an understanding. And once that understanding is crystallized in our mind, the practice automatically follows. So therefore, remember, the law of life is that only a crystallized thought motivates you into action. A piece of information, an understanding, when through constant reflection, contemplation, through repeated thinking. Remember in the Bhajagovindam that we studied, Adi Shankara told us, Manasi Vichintaya Varam Varam. Repeat, to think about it over and over again. And when we do that, what happens is our thought gets crystallized. Once that understanding is crystallized, you automatically live it. So therefore, the practical thing to do is, number one, every morning without fail. That is a daily practice, not a regular practice. You might say, I'm doing regularly once in 3 months. No, daily. We need to invest at least 1 hour a day. At least 1 hour a day, wherein that is our me time. We contemplate upon these truths every morning. And then during the day, we try to make that affirmation. When somebody insults you, somebody did not treat us well or whatever, that is the time. This insult belongs to my ego. My ego is getting hurt. If somebody don't agree with our thinking, it is they're only disagreeing with the intellect. If somebody don't show affection, that is only agreeing with the mind. Now these affirmations should go on. So that is the practice. So little by little, and when we do that, you'll find that understanding that I am the true divinity will begin to dawn in us. And then what happens is we become very objective, we become very detached. When I say we become very detached, what I mean is that we continue our duties and responsibilities, our obligation, running our business, our profession, our job, our duties, like as a father, as a mother, as a husband. We do all that, but with a tongue-in-cheek attitude, with the spirit of detachment, like a spirit of objectivity, with the spirit of objectivity. So 2 exercises, all right? That is Viveka, contemplation, and Vairagya during the day. So that is the exercise specifically with reference to the Atma Shatkam, contemplation. Because this Atma Shatkam is a book of manana. It is not an ordinary text. I mean, Bhajagovindam that we studied a month ago is much more practical, come to our level. But Atma Shatkam, it goes a little deeper. It's a book of contemplation, affirmation that I am Shiva. Hope that gives some kind of idea to reflect, Seelan.
Yes, thank you very much. It does.
Thank you. Any other question before we conclude? We will be, just for your information, although the Honorable President of our country has announced that the religious practices, religious gathering, 50 and less is allowed. But for the safety of all of us, we will not take advantage of that offering. We will continue to study our Tuesday classes on Zoom until we are really, really sure that it is safe to gather, because safety of a lot of factors involved. And so we'll continue our online classes. And since we are using Zoom, and there is a notification from Zoom that from the 31st of May, from the 30th of May, that will be from tomorrow, the Zoom that is 4, the current Zoom is 4, will not more available. You will have to upgrade it to Zoom 5. So please update your Zoom. What do you call this? Yeah, you got to download the update or the new version of it. Simply delete your Zoom and download it again. Automatically, it will become updated. All right. Otherwise, you'll not be able to log in, and you'll be wondering why you're not able to. So please do that. Otherwise, from tomorrow onwards, that won't be available. All right. Don't go away. We'll conclude with the meditation. Make sure that the lighting is minimum so that it provides a conducive mood. Sit in a comfortable sitting position with your back, neck, and head straight in one line. Mouth closed. Your eyes gently closed, looking nowhere in particular. Feel the silence within you. Feel that inner balance. I am samatvam, sada me samatvam. I am ever balanced. And that is the truth. The external fluctuations will have no influence on me. Feel that inner balance. Breathe normally. We will undertake the journey within from external to internal. In the process, identify a subtle sound that you can hear outside and keep your mind fully tuned to that single sound alone. When your mind slips, bring it back gently. Keep your mind tuned to that sound. Now, bring your awareness closer. Focus on your breathing. Breathe normally. Feel the cold air as you inhale and warm air as you exhale. Focus on your breathing. When your mind slips, bring it back. We will now together chant the mantra Om that culminates in mental whispers and eventually dies away in silence. Breathe in. Absorb that dynamic silence within you. Breathe in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you. I will see you on Tuesday.